Hello, my name's Ed Youtz. I'm a wood turner, and we're here at the Kutztown Folk Festival, and my primary job here at the Folk Festival is to turn tops for tots. Actually, tots of all ages. I'd like to show you how that works. I have a lathe right here, and what the lathe does is spin the wood, and then I hold a sharp tool up to the wood and take away everything that isn't a top. Now, I didn't invent this technique. This was Leonardo da Vinci who started it. He did it with a great pile of marble. He would have a pile of marble and take away everything that wasn't a masterpiece. What I'm going to do is have a small blank for a top and take away everything that isn't a top. His technique. This is the point that I would normally ask a child watching this process what their two favorite colors were. Because what I'm going to do is put some decoration on the top, the upper side of the top, and then color it. And if it's female, it's likely to be, a small girl will say pink and purple often. Is that those your favorite? Okay, pink and purple. But this is close to the 4th of July, so I'm going to make it a red and blue. So here comes the decoration. What I have just done is hold a little piece of spring steel up to the wood and had it vibrate. Now I'm going to grab a couple of the Crayola Basic 10 and color this. And that's what you get. And the pattern is made by the chatter tool, the squeals you heard. And that is how we get decoration onto these tops. All right, now we've got to find the point so it'll spin. You can see we've got to take away some wood. Let's see if this works. Oh, thank goodness it does. You can see that I get covered with wood chips, and I get wood chips absolutely everywhere. Even in my socks. Without these wood chips, my wife and I would hardly have anything to say to each other. Okay, let me give you a tour of the booth. First, these are spindles, something I enjoy making. If somebody is redoing a house and need separate spindles for their stairs, I would love to reproduce them for them. This is just lots of fun. The reason these aren't in somebody's house is that they didn't quite work out as well as they should. Okay, let's go around the booth. It sort of more or less goes from functional items around to more artistic items. These are refrigerator magnets. No, I don't magnetize the wood. What I do is put a cup and then a small magnet in it, and they're quite strong. Notice it says tip to move, otherwise you open the refrigerator door. This is eggs. Now these I make usually as an example in classes and ask people to make them because they have to do a couple of different curves and have really control of how the turning goes. And when I find myself making so many of them in a class, I might as well bring them in here. And it turns out people buy them. Put them in a bowl. Gorgeous. Wine bottle stoppers. These are for the third bottle of wine that doesn't quite get finished. You can stopper it there. Goblets. This is another item that happens in an intermediate class. And these are examples that I've done. We have a goblet with a ring for good luck. This is something I'm starting a set of pepper grinders with the crush grind pepper mechanism. Fun, and that without having to have the knob up here, all the adjustment is done there. You can be a lot freer with the design of what you're doing. Down here, we've got muddlers for people who make mojitos or mint juleps, and it's for getting all the flavor out of the mint. Spurtles for stirring soup, cups, another item that comes from classes, and then there is the executive maple burl spin top. They're made with a birch dowel through some maple burl, which is too soft to support the spin. And these are the executive spin top. They come with signed and numbered with a regal purple storage bag in a presentation box. They're for the executive who has everything except a maple burl spin top. The idea is that if the executive can't make a decision by the time the top stops spinning, they ought to turn in the key to the executive washroom. Just not worth the trouble. All right, let's go back here. We've got a vase for dry arrangement. We've got some maple burl natural edged vases. A big cherry salad bowl. Something I made just before the Super Bowl. It's a chip and dip bowl. It's called a Super Bowl, but that was only various little bowls, because if left to myself, that's what I will do, make a bowl. And we've also got top boxes. You've heard of box tops. Well, these are top boxes. What they have is something inside already. Gavel, another item from a class, and it comes with a striker, but I'm hoping people won't use it until they buy it. One of my signature items are the wedding goblets. The idea is to have champagne at the wedding, and then you put it on a shelf and share a split of champagne every anniversary. And the date would be right there to avoid confusion. I confess to having been confused several years, and it was a big, big mistake. The rings on these goblets are really the important part. Each one is completely free to move, independently of the other one. Yet they're both around the goblet and clearly interlocked with each other forever. Now, people often ask, how do you do that? How do you make them interlock? Well, let me show you. They were, when they're turned, one ring was here and another ring was here. And then I confess that what I do is split one of the rings and spring it around the other one and then glue it back together again. But you shouldn't focus on the ring that was split. No. Anyone entering into a marriage should be willing to change what fundamentally holds them together to make the union stronger. In fact, it probably will change whether they know it or not. Let's see. Plates, bowls, a natural edged bowl, which is, we'll talk about the difference between a natural edge bowl and one of these others. More vases, a cheese and cracker plate. It is lots of people, lots of wood turners these days are painting, carving, piercing their wood turnings. And it looks wonderful, but that isn't my enthusiasm. My enthusiasm is to display the natural wood grain in a advantageous way, and let that be the decoration. I am going against some of the modern enthusiasm in wood turning. Left to myself, I would make a bowl. And the problem with making a bowl is the following. You'd normally think, well, you've got a round tree, you can cut it off here, hollow it out a little bit, and you'd have a bowl. What's hard about that? The nature of wood is against you. What happens? What I've done here is taken a slice of a walnut tree and made a thin bandsaw cut right to the center, just that thick. As the wood has dried, it's opened up as if we'd taken a piece of pie out of it. It is the nature of wood that when it dries, it shrinks this way and it shrinks this way, but it doesn't shrink up and down the tree. So if you took that section of tree and cut it off, hollowed it out, it would eventually split, just the way the wood in your wood pile splits. So what you have to do to make a bowl is to cut the tree this way and make it out of half of a log. So you would have a log right there, cut it in half, take this half, put it flat on a bandsaw, cut a circle, and then you make that into a bowl. Now, if you do that and turn it just once, what will happen, see, there's the center of the tree, and you remember wood shrinks this way, and it shrinks this way, but it doesn't shrink up and down the tree. What would happen is that you would get a bowl that is oblong. This dimension up and down the tree is larger than this dimension, and if you look at it that way, it shrunk a little bit this way and this way. Now, that's fine if you like to see what nature is doing, and that's what is displayed here, but lots of people want round bowls. The way to make a round bowl is to take something like this and turn it, but turn it extra fat. And it will dry. It will shrink this way, it will shrink this way, but it won't shrink up and down the tree. Then what you do is put it back on the lathe and take that oblong blank and turn it again. And so you make a round bowl out of it. Now here's another ash bowl that's round. It has shrunk this way and that way, but then I turned it again, and so I made it round. You could do that after it dried, so that you have, you can get something round. So if you see a round bowl, it's been done, turned twice. These are done with the center of the tree right near here, near the opening. If you turn that around, let me grab this natural edge bowl. If you turn that around, the center of the tree here is right there. And you can see the growth rings go this way, and the bark hasn't stayed on it because it was cut during the summer, where the bark just falls right off. That you can turn once, let dry, and sand, and you get a bowl. It changes shape a little bit, but that's all right, because it doesn't look as though it was ever going to be round anyway. What I'd like to do is show you how you can turn a bowl. It's, you turn the outside, make a spigot on it so that you can put it in a chuck, and then you turn the inside. Let me show you. All right, this is a blank. It was a tree right here. There's the pith of the tree. We cut it right down the pith, put that down, and then cut a circle this way. Now, I am going to make a bowl out of this. And I've got a hole in it, and I'm going to put that in a, it's got a, something like that, put it in a chuck. Let me see if I can get that to lock. There we go. And then I'm going to tighten it up like that. And I guess we'll need a larger tool rest. Let me do this. Now, what I'm going to do is turn this and put a circle right here that sticks out, and that we will then turn around and put in the chuck. But first we have to do the outside. Got to reach over here and get a bowl gouge. First, what we're doing is taking the bark off, and this tool rest is still a little too high. I can't quite get down to the center. All right, there we go. We're going through the bark here, and what we will do is figure, all right, how big is this going to be to fit in the chuck? I'm judging that it'll be about there. Let's see how we're coming. Well, you can see what the, well, I'm going to have to go deeper than that because that's bark. And that won't stand up to the strain of turning. We've got to go down here and get into good wood. This is a piece of ash that has been sitting around a while, so it's pretty dry already. All right, the important thing here is to get a corner right there that is a right angle so that we can get it fitting in the chuck. That looks pretty good. While it's held here pretty well, let's shape this so we get a rough shape, make it round, get rid of the bark. That spigot is going to be held in the chuck and then eventually taken off, so it won't be part of the bowl. So I am right now doing most of the bowl, designing the bowl. This is a little lathe and it doesn't have a lot of power, so if I push too hard it'll stop the lathe and you can hear the belt that is driving it from the electric motor squeal. That's what happened back there. All right, that's getting pretty far out over the tool rest, so I'm going to move around a little bit. Let's see how we're coming. Oh, we've got a lot of bark to take off. We've got to take this all this off. All right, we're going to do something else. We're going to make the base of this right here, and then right here we're going to put a curve, make it a revereware shape, however small. And we've got to cut down to cut off that bark, so we've got to go quite a ways. Let's see if we can get a smoother surface here. Not quite yet. When we have lots of leverage way out here at the end, that's better. All right, let's see where we are. All right, just a little more bark to take off, and a little bit there, okay? And this wood is dry, so it's pretty hard. All right, a little bit there. That's all right, because we're going to have to cut this down so that the pith isn't in the bowl. You can see there are ridges along here. There are ways of cleaning those out. And of course, you'd eventually go to sandpaper. We're not going to bother doing that today. Got a corner there. Let's see if we can take care of that. And make sure we've got this a little bit undercut. Okay, let's see how that looks. All right, that's a bowl shape. Now, of course, the problem is going to be to get it off the lathe, because we've got a screw coming in there. And so let's see if we can. Yes, that's going to unwind. What do you know? Now, what we can do is put this in here, turn it around, because we've got the inside of the bowl to take out. So we've got the bowl shape. There, that's tight. Let's see how this is going to work. There was the hole that was holding it to start with. And now what we have to do is hollow it out. First, I'm going to take off, about that much, right across here. Because with the wood shrinking this way when it dries, it compresses that and it splits. And normally the splits start right from the pith. So if you can take that out, you have a chance of not having your bowl split. At least that's the hope. Light cut. All right, that's pretty well cut out. Not too bad. The pith is right out about here, and so we're well below that. All right, let's make a bowl. The trick is to get out here so that you can and we're eventually going to have to move some of this stuff out of the way. This vacuum system that doesn't catch the shavings, but it catches the dust, is going to have to go, so we can get further out. Well, maybe we can sneak it in. Going to do a little check to see what the depth, what the thickness is, and that isn't too bad. I'm using a digital technique for checking this. Let's see. All right. Will we be able to do that? I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how we're doing. That's not too bad. And maybe we can go just a little thinner. Of course, that's the famous last words. I'll just take one more cut. All right, let's see if we can clean that up a little bit. Let's call it a bowl. All right, now the question is, how do we take that spigot off? It used to be, back when I first learned to turn bowls, used to be that you would take a blank and you would take a faceplate, which is something that screws on here, and you put screws into the bottom of the bowl. Then you'd put 3 pegs in and you'd put felt over it and you'd give it to your grandmother and she'd love it. Nowadays, you can't show how the bowl was connected to the lathe if you want to hold your head up in a wood turning circle. So what I have to do is figure out a way to take that off. What I'm going to do is turn the bowl around and hold it up against that chuck, hold it here like this, tighten this up to hold it there. And if I'd been really clever when I first turned it, I would have put a little notch where the spigot, where the center of the spigot was. But I'm going to guess it's about here. And I'm only going to come across so that it turns out not to be completely crucial. And let's see. That isn't too bad. I'm going to go back to the little bowl gouge, because that isn't a really firm connection to the lathe. So I've got this undercut a bit because I don't want it to have a bump in the middle, because I have a bump in the middle, it's going to rock back and forth. Not what you'd want. Okay, now let's try this. The grain goes across, so we ought to be able to split that off with some luck. Up, it's coming out of that. Let's see. Let's tighten this up. Let's see if we can split that off. No, it's just coming around, so we'll see. There. Something like that. And there you have a bowl. Oh yeah, you can finish it in lots of different ways. You can oil them. My favorite finish is 5 coats of gel urethane varnish. It's hard to see on television, but these bowls feel fairly smooth. And if you put 5 coats of gel urethane varnish and then buff them, they have a coating that people comment on how smooth they are. They call them soft. What I am doing here is the culmination of all the people that have taught me to turn and have corrected when I was messing up. I was first taught to turn first turned my first bowl when I was a sophomore in high school. And you would think I'd been turning ever since, but I took a 40-year break to have a career as a teacher. And so what I've been doing since came back to turning with the threat of wondering what in the world I would do in retirement. Was taught by the same person, Palmer Sharpless, who taught me to turn originally as a sophomore in high school. And of course, turning was very different with a 40-year gap. And I've been doing it for the last 15 or so years, and one of the joys of my turning career is teaching other people to turn, which I do in 3 different places, and teach how to make a large number of the things that you've seen in this booth. It is just absolutely fun.